How did GRT or the Graph token hold up after yesterday's crash? So, if you guys have been following my channel, you guys know that I do updates on GRT. And if you guys want to continue seeing any more updates on GRT, make sure to drop a like, comment, or subscribe. Or if you guys want to see any other coins in this market, also do the same, and I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis. And something wonderful here I'm seeing for GRT. I'm not talking about the crash itself. Of course, that crash, seeing crashes never feel good. But, especially, in yesterday's magnitude, I personally have taken some losses, but that is fine. Nothing like I haven't seen before. And I'm just going to continue going because it was not losses that I cannot recover from. However, taking a look into GRT here, this is okay. I'm gonna wait for my chart to load. So taking a look into GRT here, I've been talking about this chart. This is on the weekly time frame, and I've been talking about a falling wedge pattern, which you guys should definitely learn how to chart. And this would be one of the simplest and most common patterns, probably the most common patterns you guys will see. And I'll tell you that after an extensive downtrend on a time frame, and in this case it's the weekly time frame, so it took a long time to form, that after an extensive downtrend, that the price action is likely has a higher chance of breaking back out to the upside. Now I talked about this pattern and the price target. If it breaks out by this point, I'm gonna move the price target a little further down along the upper trend line here, just to give it a little bit more time to play out, right? Then the price target here would be about 55 cents GRT. Now, price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less. A lot of it is going to depend on what happens with Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin has more room to pump, that will still be very good for the altcoins. However, if Bitcoin is going to continue dumping from here, that's very bad for a lot of these altcoins. And I did a more detailed video on Bitcoin earlier today, so I'll link you guys at the end of this video. I never trade altcoins without a clear understanding of Bitcoin. Now, something amazing that's happened here is that for this chart, basically GRT yesterday, from yesterday's dump, that actually touched the bottom trend line here, validating this pattern here. So that's how you can tell other traders or a lot of the markets knows that, validated this pattern here. They're seeing the same pattern that I have charted here, right? And it basically bounced off the bottom trend line. So this pattern here is still valid. Now, something to be considering is that even though falling wedges have a higher chance of breaking to the upside, they still have a smaller chance of breaking down. We're all talking about probabilities here, and nothing in this market is for certain, of course. I also talked about a smaller falling wedge, okay? Smaller falling wedge pattern here that is within the bigger one. And what I would look for as a very bullish signal, if this happens, is that if GRT actually closes back within the smaller falling wedge pattern. This tells me that this was a bear trap here, right? And that could potentially increase the buying volume inside the smaller falling wedge pattern. Now, does the increase in buying volume necessarily mean that it's going to break out of this falling wedge pattern, the smaller one? No, but still, that still would still validate this smaller falling wedge pattern. However, if you actually get a weekly candle close outside of this pattern, outside of the smaller falling wedge pattern like this, like how we have it right now, then that will invalidate that smaller falling wedge pattern. Okay, it's very important. I know it's gonna, it's gonna go over a lot of your heads, but it's also very important to keep track of the timeline of what some of this price action could be doing, so you can actually know, who's trapped, right? Which side is trapped, which is important, and which side is winning. Now, I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins here, so my opinions on this market is bullish. But like the entirety of this video, these are just my opinions and not financial advice. You guys gotta form your own opinions. I also want to show you guys on the smaller time frame here, 4-hour time frame, right? If GRT actually comes back down to an equal or lower low as yesterday's this low right here, this major dump, there is still a very likely bullish divergence scenario here, which also is indicative of a reversal or a bounce here in this case, right? So that is something to be also looking out for on the smaller time frame. Now, this basically wraps it up for my video for GRT here. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of GRT by dropping a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll pick or any other coins, and I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis. I'll see you on the next one.